Hi guys, welcome to our podcast, Complete Combustion, where we revise chemistry and biology and talk about interesting sciencey things. So, we are going to be talking about cell structure and organisation. Now, what should we start with? Let's start with the nucleus. Okay, Mia, do you want to describe it?
Well, the function of the nucleus is to retain genetic information, so like DNA, which codes protein synthesis.
Ooh. Okay, and it's the largest organelle in the cell.
Big boy.
What is the nuclear envelope?
The nuclear envelope is a double membrane with nuclear pores which allows the transport of mRNA and ribosomes out of the nucleus into the cytoplasm.
Okay. The nuclear plasm is cytoplasm-like material within the nucleus which contains chromatin. And chromatin is like your DNA when it's not chromosomes.
It's like coils of DNA bound
chubby.
to histone proteins, and then like during cell division they condense to form chromosomes.
Whoa, that's so cool. Okay, do you want to say the nucleus?
Shall I talk about the nucleus?
Yeah, go for it.
Alright, well, it is one or more spherical bodies within the nucleus which synthesize RNA. RNA.
RNA. Ribosomal.
I can't roll my R's.
Ribosomal RNA. Yeah, good stuff.
That's what's getting us into uni, that is.
Thank you, Espanol. Okay, the mitochondria, singular is mitochondria, and like, honestly it confuses me, but
I get that mixed up.
I know, it's embarrassing. I still call it
mitochondrion is one without an E on the end.
Oh.
Bestie, I ain't remembering that.
Okay. No, that's something else to remember actually.
Function.
Okay. To release energy in the form of ATP during aerobic expression, it's not the powerhouse of the cell anymore.
We've moved on from
In my
that.
heart.
It will always be the powerhouse of the cell.
But you're not going to get
Do you want to do the next bit?
Okay, what shall I talk about? Let's talk about its double membrane. It has a narrow, fluid-filled intermembrane space.
And it's like wiggly.
Yeah, and it's
Or in a more scientific term,
the inner membrane
cristae.
is folded inwards to form cristae, and these increase the surface area for ATP synthesis to occur. Pretty cool.
And then there's the organic matrix like inside the mitochondrion. It's kind of like a cytoplasm sort of thing, and it has many chemical compounds in it, including lipids, proteins, ribosomes, the small 70S ones, and a small circle of DNA to allow self-replication.
Okay, yeah. So all the things in the organic matrix help with the fact it self-replicates.
Yeah.
Okay, good stuff.
Snazzy.
Stages of respiration occur in the matrix. Aerobic respiration occur in the matrix and on the inner membrane.
You'll find large numbers of mitochondria in the liver and muscle cells.
Why?
Because they need to respire to...
They make a lot of energy, yeah.
Release the energy.
Okay, ribosomes.
I think mitochondria is actually my favourite diagram.
I like ribosomes, it reminds me of Baymax.
Ribosomes do give
I
like
did mine
snowman.
upside down.
Oh. Okay,
yeah.
so the small subunit and large subunit of a ribosome are made out of rRNA and protein.
Protein synthesis, or translation specifically, occurs in the ribosomes. mRNA from the nucleus fits in the groove between the subunits. You've got the little guy up here or the small guy. Little guy up here, large guy down there, or
You
flip
just
it.
did synonyms.
Your choice. Between the subunits, which provides the code for a sequence of amino acids.
So, like proteins, yeah.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
They're found free in the cytoplasm or on like the edges of the rough endoplasmic reticulum.
Which is what gives it its name. So, leads nicely
Nice.
on to the rough endoplasmic reticulum, or rough ER. It's an internal system.
ER?
Yeah.
Rawr.
Rough ER.
Rawr.
RER.
RER.
That's how I say it, like if I'm writing
Okay. Is an internal
Say it however you
system
want.
of flattenous membranous sacs, or cisternae, which are continuous with the nuclear membrane.
It is covered in ribosomes, top head to toe covered in ribosomes, which accounts for its dotted appearance and gives it its name.
Function.
Its function is protein synthesis and transport of proteins. So it's in a large number of cells that synthesize large quantities of protein.
Cool stuff. Okay, so the smooth
Radical
endoplasmic reticulum is similar in structure to the RER, but it doesn't have ribosomes, and that's why like it looks smooth under a microscope.
It serves the function of the synthesis and transport of lipids. Large
Okay.
numbers of smooth endoplasmic reticulum, or just SER, your choice, will be found in cells that store large quantities of carbohydrates, proteins, or fat. So, for example, your liver cells, your secretory cells. Golgi.
I
So-
love that word.
The Golgi body is made up of interconnected flattenous membranous sacs, like the rough ER. Vesicles containing polypeptides pinch off from the rough ER and fuse with the Golgi body. Here, proteins are modified and packaged into vesicles, and at the other end of the Golgi body, vesicles containing the modified proteins bud off.
So its main functions are to modify and package proteins into secretory vesicles.
Yeah.
For secretion from the cell. Secrete carbohydrates for plant cell walls,
Yeah.
producing
Cellulose.
glycoproteins, and
Yes.
transport and storing lipids and forming lysosomes.
Okay.
And now let's talk about lysosomes. They are single membrane bound vesicles,
Okay.
and they contain hydrolytic digestive enzymes, and as lovely people here just said, they are produced by the Golgi or Golgi?
I say Golgi. I feel like it sounds more cultured.
That's what my teacher
Cultured.
said, so I kind of just say that.
Golgi body.
My teacher gives a disclaimer and goes, if you call it the Golgi, that's okay. If you call it Golgi. But, like, Golgi apparatus is the most wrong thing anyone's ever
Golgi
said.
apparatus. Ooh, that
Oh
doesn't feel
no,
off well,
that's
does
not
it?
good.
Anyway, continuing on. I think we still have one more point.
here.
Yeah, I
Functions.
so they isolate potentially harmful digestive enzymes from.
The remainder of the cells.
So that's what that says.
Yeah.
Is that spelt wrong?
Where?
Remainder. Or is it just me?
Where? Remainder, that's how you spell it.
Is it?
So
Oh,
the
that's the only way
functions
to make
are,
sense.
they release hydrolytic enzymes when the cell needs to break down worn out organelles.
And
So-
digest materials that has been taken into the cell. So, like, they were fused with the vesicle made when a white blood cell engulfs bacteria by phagocytosis, and the enzymes digest in the bacteria.
So it's used in the immune system as well then.
Obviously.
Very cool. Do you want to do the linking? Do you, I found that useful. I actually,
It's
when I
handy.
made my revision cards, I made it like ordered nicer than in the thing.
Oh, send help.
Yeah.
Can you read it or not?
I will attempt.
Okay, numero uno.
So the nucleus contains the DNA which is copied during transcription to produce mRNA.
Okay. Nuclear pores in the nuclear envelope allow this mRNA molecules to leave the nucleus and attach to ribosomes in the cytoplasm or on the rough ER.
Following on, we have protein synthesis on the ribosomes, rRNA, and
They're like composed of rRNA
yeah,
and synthesized
and
in
protein
the
synthesized in the nucleolus. Okay, cool.
Okay.
Polypeptides, I love that word, are moved through
Isn't it sexy?
the aria and are packed into vesicles.
Okay.
They then bud off the aria and carry the proteins to the Golgi body.
Ooh. Okay, the vesicle then fuses with the membranes and sheds its contents into the Golgi body. And that is when this like polypeptide chain is actually modified into a protein.
And so then at the other end of the Golgi body, you guys say vesicles, I think vesicles.
I
sounds
prefer
fun.
vesicle. Vesicles is a bit
Come on. Okay.
like it's a bit cringe.
Whatever. Vesicles
Oh,
Okay, you do you go.
containing modified proteins will bud off
Okay.
Oh, that's me. So they might be secretory vessels which carry the protein to the cell membrane for secretion by exocytosis.
Okay.
Or they could be lysosomes containing digestive enzymes which will use inside the cell.
Okay, nice. Okay.
Cray.
The cell membrane.
Oh lord.
All cells are surrounded by a cell surface membrane or a plasma membrane. The principal biochemical components are phospholipids and protein molecules.
And their phospholipids are arranged in a bilayer with like one sheet opposite another.
Yeah.
Don't know if you need to know this, but width 7 to 8 nanometers approximately. Very small. You do need to learn
Yeah, you need
it?
to.
Do they ask you that?
My teacher said,
Yeah, so
And
My
I'm like,
teacher didn't.
you've been scammed. Okay, so what are the structural components of the membrane? Number one, phospholipids. Do you want to describe a phospholipid for us?
So they form bilayers with the hydrophilic heads pointing outwards, which would interact with the tissue and like blood plasma around the cell, and the cytoplasm in the cell. But the hydrophobic tails, both layers, they point inside the cell because they don't want to like interact.
Don't want to
with
get
anything.
anywhere near
Yeah,
that
because the
water.
tails are repelling water present in the cytoplasm, and in the cytoplasm and extracellular fluid, and the heads are attracted to this water.
'Cause they're polar.
Membranes appear as a double, like under the electron microscope. You need an electron microscope to see these guys clearly. And you can use a dye which is water soluble, which will associate with the heads to see said cell membranes.
Yeah, because the water-soluble dye is attracted to the hydrophilic
Heads.
polar heads. Yeah.
Should we talk about
Proteins?
proteins?
So proteins are always globular in the cell
Fun word.
cell membrane.
Okay.
They can be found on the surface of the bilayer or partly embedded. So if they're partly embedded, they're called extrinsic, which actually are usually used for like communication.
Okay.
Um,
and like receptors.
Yeah.
Mm.
Or if they extend like over both layers, they're called intrinsic or
Okay.
transmembrane. And they're usually for transporting substances.
Yeah, so like in diffusion
Yeah.
or
So they can be
like
either a
active
carrier
transport.
or carrier molecules or channel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, which we'll do in cell transport and stuff. Yeah.
Mm.
This.
You do that if you want.
Yeah, so where the proteins in the membrane, the charged parts of the protein associates by the hydrophilic heads because they both are attracted to the water as they're both polar, and like conversely the non-polar parts are attracted to the hydrophobic tails because they also repel water. So I just thought that was a bit interesting.
How snazzy. Shall
Carbohydrates?
we talk about the carbs?
Yeah, go for it.
Carbs in the cell membrane. They point out of the cell and are attached to proteins, in which case they'll be called glycoproteins.
Okay.
They can also be attached to the phospholipids, giving them the name glycolipids. They will be formed through
Glycosylation.
Glycosylation.
Oh,
I
right.
don't like the
It
sound
is
of that.
I read the
There are a
wrong
lot of
words.
glyco words in biology. Glycosylation.
Basically, gly is just carbs.
Mm.
You just need to associate
Like
that.
sugars.
Yeah. They will be collectively known as the
Glycocalyx. Have you guys not learned about
No,
those?
we have to do this at home.
Whoa.
And so these like they're usually like the glycoproteins and glycolipids usually involved in like cell signaling and like
Yeah,
recognition.
like to recognize cell recognition. Yeah. Okay, cholesterol
Cholesterol
is present between the phospholipids in animal cell membranes.
And it's important in controlling the membrane.
Yeah, it
fluidity.
stabilizes it, and not leaving too many
Oh,
gaps
this
and
is
not having too little
snazzy.
gaps. Okay.
Should we touch on the fluid mosaic model? or-
Yeah, should we describe it from here?
Yeah.
Kind of connected, isn't it?
I
Yeah.
did do that bit.
Okay,
Alright.
let's go for it.
I have a little babble.
Right, the
about it then.
fluid mosaic model was hypothesized by Singer and Nicholson in 1972.
Long while
That's
ago.
I'm
My
not
mum
sure
was
if we
born.
actually need to know who did it and
My
the
mum
date,
was
but it is
born
in
then.
bold.
I'd say we.
So
Yeah.
I feel like we
think-
need to have some recognition of that.
Yeah, you could probably just get like
Um,
the main facts about fluid and mosaic.
Yeah, okay, so why is it fluid?
Well, it's fluid because the individual phospholipids are able to move around within the membrane,
Okay.
and the mosaic part refers to the proteins embedded in the bilayer, which vary in size and shape, and are arranged in a random pattern.
Hence the
Hence
mosaic,
the mosaic
kind of like
term.
yeah. The main function of the cell membrane is to aid transport of certain substances in and out of cells. For example, obtaining oxygen and removing carbon dioxide.
We've already done that bit.
What's
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Centrioles.
You explain this. I
Okay.
don't understand.
So they're found in the cells of only animals, so like no plants and most protists.
Protoctists.
Protoctists. There you go. But not
Just ask Google how to say it.
so not in plants. They're located. They're just outside the nucleus.
Okay.
And they consist of like 2 rings of microtubules arranged in hollow cylinders positioned at right angles. So like the diagrams like lines at right angles
Like
to
that.
each other. Yeah. And so when like during cell division, they migrate to opposite poles and of the cell and form the spindle.
The spindle fibers.
spindle
We
fibers.
finally know what they are.
Honestly,
Because I feel like
they'll tell you
Our
about
teacher
spindle
in
fibers in
biology.
GCSE,
Yeah.
but they just won't go
like
into
it just said the
specifics.
spindle fibers form, and I'm like, but why?
Why?
Like, what are
Where?
they?
What?
So that is what the spindle fibers are. What are vacuoles? Who wants to say plant cells?
Plantar cells. Okay, so vacuoles you'll probably know from GCSE are found in plant cells. Most of them contain a large permanent vacuole, so a fluid-filled sac bound by a single membrane, the tonoplast.
Whoa.
They will contain cell sap,
Yeah. Yeah.
a solution which stores chemicals such as C6H12O6,
Maybe.
otherwise known
As glucose.
as glucose.
Yeah.
Amino acids, minerals, and
Vitamins.
I really want to say vitamins as a joke.
Oh, go for it,
Oh.
love. Treat yourself.
Vitamins!
Okay, they have a major role in supporting soft plant tissues, but in animal cells.
And they're small and they're temporary.
Okay.
But they may occur in large numbers and they can be formed by phagocytosis.
Okay, so the plant cell wall is made up of cellulose microfibrils, where like the H bonds, the hydrogen bonds forming cross links between them. And they're embedded in a polysaccharide matrix called pectin, which you might have heard of if you're at all into cooking and jam and stuff.
Yum.
That might just be me. It confers rigidity, which is like strength, on plant cells. Can someone explain to me what confers mean? I had to Google it and it still didn't make
So
sense.
it gives the plant cell like structure and rigidity, so it stops it from bursting,
Okay.
and like permits
Like
the
under
movement
osmosis and
of
stuff.
water from cell to cell. And also the cell wall in plants is freely permeable.
Oh
That.
Yeah.
that is useful, isn't it? Okay, the plasmodesmata, I honestly feel like we need to discuss a bit because I do
Well,
know.
they're just like
I
narrow
forgot it
pores.
exists.
Like
Okay.
so the narrow pores are like fine like strands of cytoplasm
Yes.
going through them.
Mhm.
So these allow like different things like
And they like connect the
substances
cells,
to move
right?
them,
Yeah.
move through them. Yeah.
Substrates can just go swim through them from one
Yeah.
cell to the next.
Instead of having
Rather
to,
than like
cell
it having
membrane
to leave
stuff.
the cell, go through the blood and be absorbed.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, that. I guess it makes sense. It's just I kind of feel like we
It's
didn't-
not a term that's very much ingrained in my head
Can I mention my anger
towards
at this page? Chloroplast, an organelle. It's one word, it's one thing we have to learn about at GCSE. Let me tell you, 10 labels I've got on my diagram.
I'm sick of them. I'm so sick.
Okay, 10 labels I have on my diagram. Shall I list for
Why
you?
do you have 10?
I have my... What's this word? Do you know
Stroma.
stroma lamellae? I have my double membrane envelope. I have my outer membrane and inner membrane, so I've separated that. I've got my starch grains, which is where we're storing our like glucose as a polysaccharide of starch. We have the stoma, which are like tiny little particles. We have our thylakoids, which are like single flattened sacs.
They
We have
low-key look like pancakes. Can I just
they
say that?
do
They
a little bit.
They look so
We have
cool when
our
they're stacked up on
70s
top of each other.
ribosomes. We have the genetic material, which is like a circular DNA.
Small circle of DNA.
Yeah, and we have the grainer, which is the stacks
You
of
say grainer.
grainer.
Say grana.
Okay, you call me
This is-
southern. And the grainer, like stacks of thylakoids and connected by the lamellae. What did I miss? The like
Nothing.
gelatinous colorless matrix is called the stroma. The DNA allows this chloroplast to like self-replicate. Similarly to mitochondria allows to like
Yeah.
meet the needs of that cell in the plant or something else that has
I think one thing most people will know from like GCSE or whatever, chloroplasts are the site of photosynthesis.
Yes.
And contain photosynthetic pigments, for example, chlorophyll,
Yeah.
and they are found in each thylakoid.
Because I kind of forgot that was a thing.
I just
Like, I forgot where
honestly-
they were in this
I
mess of
saw
terms.
chloroplast as just like green
A blob.
discs.
Yes.
And that's about
No,
it.
And now
it was
you've
just
got
dots
now
to
you've got the
me.
green discs within the disc stacked to form bigger stacks of green discs. But you know,
It's fine.
we're fine. Okay. This is another thing that I find confusing but quite interesting if I'm honest.
Endosymbiotic.
Yeah.
theory. Okay, so it says that organelles such as chloroplasts and mitochondria
Yeah.
were originally free-living prokaryotic cells.
Okay.
The hypothesis states
Hypothesis.
that says that these prokaryotic cells they were like once engulfed by a cell through endocytosis,
Okay.
and which made them gain an additional membrane.
Hence the double membrane.
Mm.
Yeah.
So
What
for
is
the prokaryote to form mitochondrion, it would have gained protection and glucose from the cell,
Yes.
and then gained ATP energy from the prokaryote. And
Okay.
eventually this prokaryote formed the mitochondria inside a cell.
Like over millions of
Yeah.
cell divisions.
And
Yeah.
so like evidence.
This theory would explain
evidence for
why
this.
mitochondria and chloroplasts would have their own DNA.
Yeah.
And evidence for this is like the double membrane, the number of ribosomes, and like and circular DNA.
Yeah. Okay.
Wow, snazzy.
Do you want to do this? Because
Did
I
you do
did.
that?
Nope. That is.
Nah, I don't really want to.
Can I just boast about the colourfulness of? This was.
I
This
don't think you
was
actually
in
coloured
fact
yours in.
an online lesson, so that is my excuse today. And here is what a eukaryote is. Organisms made of cells that have membrane-bound organisms, so like mitochondria, nucleus, with DNA within this nucleus in the form of chromosomes or chromatin.
Whereas prokaryotes are single-celled organisms which lack membrane-bound organelles, such as nuclei, with DNA free in the cytoplasm.
Yeah, cool. Good
So
stuff.
diagram.
Yours is so much more simple than mine.
So you have so of course there's like let's go like outside from inside. So you have like loads of membrane things in this. So there's like
the outside.
so the very
The capsule.
outside is the capsule,
Or the slime layer, and that's used for protection.
and the capsule like that's not always present
Yeah.
in the it depending on what it like the cell. And then the next one is lost. Is
It's the cell wall.
peptidoglycan.
Peptidoglycan cell
Cell
wall.
wall,
So
yeah.
this is like the cell wall in plants is cellulose. We know that, right?
Yeah. So in this it's
Peptidoglycan. So that could be a difference you could point out in a question comparing them. Yeah.
And then you have the plasma membrane.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just what it is.
Membrane.
Yeah.
And then sometimes they might have a flagellum, which can help
Okay.
them,
That
because
little
since they're
tail.
single cell.
Yeah. Like move within
They
like
have to-
if they're in a liquid
Yeah.
or yeah.
And then of course you've got your cytoplasm,
Yeah.
and in the cytoplasm you have plasmids. They aren't always there. a circular loop of DNA,
Yeah.
and smaller 70S ribosomes. And sometimes on the plasma membrane, you might have like a little kind of like thing that goes in like
The
inwards.
infolding,
The
yeah.
infold, yeah, kind of like a cristae sort of thing.
Yeah, that kind of idea.
Called a
Mesosome.
Mesosome, that's it.
And that's where the respiration is taking place in a
Yeah.
prokaryote. Some things I've written down that apparently you didn't have. There can also be similar kind of structure to a mesosome, like the infolding of the membrane. You can have photosynthetic membranes,
Slay.
like in blue-green algae. You can also have pili, which are like short hairs that kind of branch away, and they can have they can have a signaling or protective function. So it kind of acts in the same way as the glycocalyx does on a cell membrane.
Yeah.
So like recognition and kind of
Nice.
stuff.
Okay.
Wow, look at this edgy title.
Did you like it?
Look how cute that is.
She can't read it, can she?
Should I
Okay.
Do you want to just quickly go through it?
Yeah, okay, so-
Okay, you do prokaryote.
Okay, prokaryotes, they are. Do you want to like do like.
Alternate, yeah?
Yeah.
Let's go for it.
Okay, so prokaryote, usually 1 to 10, that's micrometers, yeah.
Oh my
Whereas, so did you do prokaryotes?
Yeah.
I'll do eukaryotes, which are like 10 to 100 micrometers. So they're typically a bit bigger.
Yeah.
Yeah?
So prokaryotes are unicellular, so one cell.
Whereas you're going to find eukaryotes are mostly multicellular, but you can have some unicellular. So that's not really a defining point of it.
DNA, you often have a nucleus present in eukaryotes in comparison to the DNA in a prokaryote being circular or free, not bound to histone proteins.
Which I don't know what they are, but hopefully we'll find out at some
Turns
point.
out.
I did find out what they are,
Did
but
you?
I've forgotten, yeah.
So they're not bound to histone proteins in prokaryotes. Good stuff.
So,
Ribosomes,
prokaryotes, ribosomes are smaller.
70S, whereas in eukaryotes they're larger, which are 80S. And they're either free in the cytoplasm or attached to the rough ER, whereas in prokaryotes they're only in the cytoplasm.
Woo! And then in prokaryotes, cell division by binary fission.
Okay, nice. New words. Do you want to do eukaryote cell division?
Should I?
By mitosis.
Mitosis or
Eukaryote
meiosis?
cell division. Mitosis or meiosis?
Okay, membrane bound?
No membrane bound.
In prokaryotes? No. But in eukaryotes they are present, so do you want to name
I
one
missed the
each?
E.
Should we name one each? Division?
Mitochondria.
Nucleus.
I was gonna say nucleus.
You can, what should we do? Ribosomes?
Ribosomes, they count? They count, right? Yeah.
Not
Yeah.
sure.
Do they?
Maybe
No,
not.
'cause there's
Maybe not because everyone has
No,
ribosomes.
prokaryotes have ribosomes.
Chloroplast.
That's plant cell. Oh, yeah,
Yeah, that's a
plant cells.
eukaryote.
I'll do it.
Okay, wow. Good stuff. We
And
did
then
great.
the cell wall in prokaryotes is made of peptidoglycan.
I wrote in brackets murine. You
What
can
is
look.
that?
You can look that up. Do you want to do
Versus the cell wall being made of cellulose in plants and,
And
chitin in
in
fungi?
fungi's taste good.
Sorry.
And then in prokaryotes, they have a capsule which provides protection.
Good stuff. Whereas in eukaryotes, it's absent. There's no capsule.
Don't need it.
Okay, viruses.
Bye.
Who wants to start? Do you want to go? Viruses are not made of cells, and so they're described as acellular. They are so small that they cannot be seen through a light microscope.
You need an electron microscope for these bad boys.
Whoa.
That's the same thing you said last time.
So what?
Okay.
What
so
do they not have?
They
Let's
do
go.
not
1,
have organelles,
2,
enzymes,
3,
chromosomes,
4.
cytoplasm.
Good stuff.
So without ribosomes,
Oh no, I'm thinking of
they
robots.
can't carry out protein synthesis, so they can't make proteins, so they can't make enzymes.
Okay,
and
because
these
enzymes are
enzymes
proteins.
Cannot like replicate the nucleic acids, so they can only reproduce inside a host cell. Where they like hijack the host
Cells.
cell's metabolism.
Gorgeous.
and
Like-
use their organelles and enzymes.
Because the virus themselves don't have any.
Yeah.
Each virus is made up of a nucleic acid surrounded by a protein coat, the capsid. Some viruses have DNA, while others contain RNA, which is like one strand of a double helix.
Mini fact, bacteriophages are viruses which attack bacteria.
Good stuff. Right. Quick description.
Okay. So diagram. On the outside you have your your lipid capsule envelope sort of thing, and this is actually gained from the host cell. So when it hijacks the host cell, it gets that. And then the protein coat is specially shaped to fit into the protein on the host cell, so it can actually get in. And
Like an octopus, how they can shape their bodies to
Yeah.
fit between spaces.
Yeah.
So cool.
And then you have the nucleic acid inside the cell, and it's
Yeah.
either RNA or DNA.
Gorgeous. How can they be transmitted?
Well, they can be transmitted by aerosols, so through the air, through insect vectors, for example, mosquitoes, through bites, and through bodily fluids, for example, blood,
Saliva. Sweat? Would that be one?
Yeah.
I'm not sure. I mean, it's a bodily fluid.
Yeah.
Should we go two examples?
Why did I Okay.
Two examples each, please, of viruses and infection disease.
HIV and rabies.
Dengue fever, Ebola.
Coronavirus and mumps.
Good stuff. Continue.
Did you say influenza?
Did I say influenza? No, so that's just the flu.
BTW
Influenza.
Okay. So, levels of organisation. So, the definition of an organism is all of the systems of the body working together make an organism, which is a discrete individual.
Okay, so something that's separate from another. Okay, do you want to do this bit?
We do it together.
Okay, division of labour.
The adaptation of different parts of an organism to carry out different functions. So each, so for example, the human body, each organ carries out a different function so that we can live. And the more advanced an organism, the greater the division of labour.
Okay, so multicellular is organisms consisting of many specialised cells, which form tissues and organs and have various structures and roles.
Did we talk about unicellular?
We haven't done unicellular. Do you
Oh,
want
I'll
to do
talk
that?
about unicellular then. Unicellular refers to single-celled organisms which carry out all life functions within the cell.
Within that one cell. Yeah,
Yeah.
cool. Differentiation, do you want to say what it is?
Ooh, so the process by which a stem cell becomes specialised into a specific type of cell.
Good stuff. Okay, levels of organisation in the human body.
So-
do you want to go?
You have cells.
Should we give an example?
Some examples, yeah.
Yeah.
So you have red blood cells.
Erythrocytes.
Fancy.
I mean,
Yeah,
you know how
You
it is,
have
guys.
neurons, which
Okay.
are nerve cells. You have the egg cells, sperm cells,
Yes.
and the ciliated epithelial cell, which is
Okay.
found in the small intestine.
Thank you. Okay, number 2, tissues. And the definition of tissues is
An aggregation of specialized cells carrying out a specific
Specific
function.
there are 4 types. Number 1,
Epithelial tissue,
number 2,
muscle tissue,
3,
connective tissue,
4.
nerve tissue.
Good stuff. So, some more in epithelial tissues. They form a continuous layer covering or lining the internal and external surfaces of the body. So that can be your skin. That can be
The intestine.
the intestine. Good
Stomach.
stuff. Yeah. So,
Yeah.
and there are 4
Trachea,
like
oviduct.
subtypes.
I always hate saying this.
Squamous.
Squamous epithelium,
Squamous.
cuboidal epithelium, columnar
Columnar.
epithelial, and ciliated epithelial.
Okay, let's go. Squamous are flattened cells found lining the body cavities, such as the mouth and the alveoli, which are like tiny little bubbles
And
in
the
your
lungs.
lungs. Yeah. Cuboidal. Who wants to go?
I go. Cube-shaped cells lining the kidney tubules and the ducts of glands.
Okay, good stuff. Columnar are elongated column shapes, hence the name, Cells that are found lining the stomach and intestines.
And then you have ciliated epithelial, which are column-shaped cells that have fine hair-like projections called cilia on the surface, and they're usually found in the trachea and the oviduct.
So these like can move particles, which help move like
So they're like
bacteria
sway.
and mucus in your
Leave
They
the egg
sway.
down as well. And
move.
go.
Yeah, the ovum.
Mm.
And would the ciliated be the ones that increase surface area to volume ratio, or is that a different thing?
That's cilia, yeah.
Okay.
And then you got your
So some more about connective tissue. Do you want to describe it?
It connects and anchors structures and gives strength and support to the body and its organs.
Okay. Collagen proteins form extracellular, so outside the cell, fibers that give strength to dense connective tissues such as the tendons and ligaments. Collagen is also found on the tough outer layer of large blood vessels, so it helps support them and keep them like structurally sound.
Fun.
Okay, go.
And
Muscle
then
tissue.
you have muscle tissue. So, like nerve impulses, they bring about muscle contraction. So this causes the muscle to shorten, and as like the contraction of the muscle ends, it goes back to normal again.
Like elastic.
Yeah, it's like an elastic band.
Sorry to be physics. So skeletal muscle it covers your skeleton, and it is in fact the only muscle that you consciously control. So like your heart muscle, you don't think about controlling.
No.
It just
Your
goes bum, bum,
eyes,
bum,
you
bum.
don't think. So only the ones that cover your skeleton are consciously controlled. And I just found that
didn't
really.
know that.
I just
That's
found
like
that really
cray-cray,
interesting.
isn't it?
Yeah.
So that's like cardiac muscle. You got skeletal muscle, and you have smooth muscle. So only 1 out of 3 actually is consciously controlled,
Edgy.
isn't it?
Now after muscle tissue,
Numéro 3,
we have organs.
which are
An aggregation of several tissues which carry out a specific role for the whole organisms.
okay.
For example, your heart.
Yeah.
Ba-bump, ba-bump, ba-bump.
Pancreas. Get all them lovely. What's it called? The one beginning with I. The sugar.
Insulin.
Insulin. Yeah, there you go.
It's not a sugar.
No, that's to do with sugar. So insulin helps your cells absorb
So,
Glucose.
sugars. Okay, organ systems, number 4. Definition.
2 or more different organs working together to provide a common function.
Okay, here's the weighty stuff, you guys.
Oh.
Here's where we memorize things, and I've been trying to think of a nice little mnemonic, I think is the word.
yeah.
I haven't managed to do it. I've got the word creed and nurse. Nurse. Yeah, I don't know. It's not there yet, but you got creed in the middle. So, skeletal. Do you want to go there?
Oh, skeletal. That's what our teacher says.
Oh well, we've done a different point of view.
I quite like it. It sounds nice.
Well, good for you, darlings.
The organ, bones, cartilage, tendons, ligaments, and its major role is to support.
Okay. Then you've got muscular, skeletal, and smooth muscles, and that's major role is in movement. Do you want to do circulatory?
Circulatory system includes your heart, your blood vessels, and the blood, and it's involving the transport of gases and nutrients.
The idea, like, that to me is way different than what I would have defined it as.
Yeah, I know.
Like, I thought it would have been, like, the collection of blood vessels in your body, but no, transport of gases and nutrients, which I guess makes sense because they are transported in the blood.
but still.
It's just not what I thought it would be. Do you want to go the R in
next
Creed?
you have the reproductive system.
Yes,
So it consists of
slay.
the ovaries, the uterus, the oviducts, sex organs, and blah blah blah.
Yeah.
It's used for
Do you not want to name
as
them?
in
job, Mia.
as in the name of the system, it's for reproduction.
Okay. The first E in Creed, endocrine, glands, e.g. thyroid, pituitary, adrenal. Anyone got another? Is the pancreas a gland? No, it's
No,
not. It's an
no.
organ, isn't it? Homeostasis is its major role, so thermoregulation, osmoregulation, keeping things out like the
balance.
same in your inside your body. That's what
Yeah.
homeostasis is. The second E in Creed. Excretory. Did I not write it
You
down?
didn't talk about excretory, you didn't.
I'll do it. Kidneys, bladder,
This is me. It's time to shine.
urethra, basically removes waste.
Nice.
Yeah.
Because
You're
excreted.
excreting it, it's
Yes.
leaving. Okay, D in digestive.
Digestive, like the biscuits.
Good stuff. Major organs.
Liver, esophagus,
Yeah.
stomach, intestines, pancreas. What
Yeah.
do they help do?
I didn't write liver.
They
but
break
liver
down
is one.
food and absorb nutrients.
Okay, so the digestive and circulatory must be quite similar because you're breaking down into nutrients, and then circulatory is transporting the nutrients.
It's taking the nutrients to places.
Yeah, so nervous.
Can I do my favourite one? Nervous.
Yeah, that's what I just
Okay.
hinted.
The,
but okay.
So brain, spinal cord, and peripheral nerves.
Okay.
So it's to coordinate and control things. So like impulses and stuff like that.
Balance.
Balance. And so
Temperature.
as Mr. Derbyshire would say, if you put
Name drop.
if you put your hand on
a hot
fire,
pan.
it is your nerves and stuff like that which will make you
Your
move out of the way.
reflex arc. Okay.
Not fast enough.
Respiratory. I feel like we all kind of know a bit about this. You got your lungs, your diaphragm, your trachea. Bronchi isn't an organ, but that's in your lungs. And this exchanges the gases, carbon dioxide, oxygen between the blood and the air through, what's it called? The one we give with C, the tiny one.
Keep thinking.
The little tiny blood vessels.
Capillaries.
Between the capillaries and the alveoli.
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 Or
yeah.
is it alveolus? Is that
Singular.
right?
Singular.
Yeah.
Okay, immune system, let's go mini.
Immune system, protection from pathogens, which involves the
Lymph
Vessels?
glands.
Lymph glands.
and white blood cells.
Okay, yeah. Good stuff.
Sweet.
So white blood cells include phagocytes and lymphocytes. Just
Yeah.
a quick little name drop.
We'll have a little
Yeah.
talk about plants.
Okay,
Yeah.
so levels of organization
Organization.
Organisation.
in plants. So of course, first you have cells.
As,
So, yeah.
as in animals, yeah.
And your palisade cell, your guard cell, and your root hair cell.
Nice.
Next level up.
Xylem, phloem.
Xylem, transport of water and dissolved minerals. So and
Yeah.
that goes up the plant only. And then phloem is the transport of sucrose and amino acids.
Yeah,
and
so
that can go up or
phloem
down.
flows in all directions.
Oh, that's a nice
Yeah,
one.
that's how I
Remember.
like to remember it.
That's nice.
Parasite mesophyll is where photosynthesis happens. It's kind of that shape of plant cell that we all think of, like the rectangle. Like that's
a
your
palisade
yeah, that's your
cell.
Parasite mesophyll. It has a lot of chloroplasts. It's in the like upper bit of the leaf. Spongy mesophyll is where some photosynthesis does take place here, but not as much. And this tissue, like, there's a lot of space between the cells, and this allows for gas exchange in and out of the leaf. Do you want to do upper
And
and
then
lower?
photosynthesis maybe happens in the palisade mesophyll because it's higher up, so it can
Yeah,
get more
closer
light.
to the top, yeah.
And then the upper epidermis tissue, so it's at the top of the leaf and it's protected by a waterproof waxy cuticle.
Nice. Okay, numero 3. We've got organs.
Organs.
I'm not going to lie, this is embarrassing. I labelled the petals of a flower as leaves in my A-level biology book.
Nice.
And I was like, oh, this will be really easy. I don't need to wait until the answers are on the board.
And then the answers
Um,
came on the board.
And I labelled the petals as leaves. So that's a quick overshare for
That's
everyone.
like year 2 stuff.
So yeah, the flower itself is an organ and is part of sexual reproduction. And that's because the bees are going to come and transport the genetic material, the pollen, to other plants.
Then
Okay, let's
making our
go.
way downtown, we get to the leaves, which, as we know, are for photosynthesis.
They're typically green, although you can get some other colours, like poinsettia, like the Christmassy plant. That's red. I don't know what's the science there, but maybe we can look that up. Go.
And then you have the stem, which basically just holds up the plant.
Yeah,
Keeps
so
it up
that's
there.
giving it the height to like compete with other plants.
The height,
for
the
light.
support.
Yeah, the psychological support.
And then
Um,
down in the ground, we have the roots.
Did you like my drawing of roots?
It's okay.
Yeah.
It's lovely.
Thanks, love.
Okay, they take up H2O, otherwise known as water,
Did I write that? Yeah, I did.
and
Nice.
minerals.
Mineral, yeah.
Mineral ions.
And they are part of Anchorage, so holding this in place. Although, what's it, tumbleweed doesn't have roots. I'm pretty sure that is because it picks up
Yeah.
the nutrients in the air, it absorbs them as it. That's insane.
You have
to
plants
me.
which like don't need to be
That
in the
is
ground
insane
just
to
to
me.
survive. really.
Yeah, hydroponics, isn't
Very
it?
cool, actually.
I believe
Is that it?
Yeah.
that is all we've got for today. Anyone have sciencey facts they want to share?
No.
Shall I share?
Go on.
Of course, you have a
Um,
science fact.
Pass this one over.
Yeah. What I learnt today was that there's parts of your chromosomes, like the ends of it, beginning with the word letter T, but I forgot what it's called. Telo something.
Telophase.
I think that
It actually almost is.
yeah.
And they get shorter throughout your life. And that is
Oh, yeah.
a reason behind how you
Oh,
age.
this, yeah, you were telling us about this.
And basically there's different factors that surprisingly can affect it. So actually like socializing in itself like can positively impact the length. So the longer they are, the more it
Oh,
protects.
I thought you were gonna say socializing makes them short, and I was like, I'm never seeing you guys again then.
No, like it actually positively impacts.
Nice.
Chronic stress negatively impacts.
That's why people
But
look
it
so
is
much older.
shown, yeah,
when they go
it
to
is
school.
the
shown
point
like
is
scientifically.
if you're stressed out at this age, you might look 50, 60,
But it
and
is
30.
it is proven that like meditation and not to be cringe, but a positive mindset in self, like thinking when you're in a stressful situation, this is a challenge that I can overcome.
Yeah.
That
Hughes will be great
that
then.
thought process itself actually means it's longer. So your chromosomes are actually healthier.
Which means you
Your
look younger.
chromosomes are healthier if you have a positive mindset. That's interesting to think about. So
Basically, don't be pessimistic. Be happy.
yeah,
You could
when
not
you
say
can.
a word about that.
when you
Shush.
can. Anything else we've learnt that's interesting? Chemistry.
I've forgotten everything I did today in chemistry.
What did you do? You were naming.
Meth,
You were
beef,
naming
probe,
molecules.
Naming organic compounds.
Yeah. Do you want to give us one? Like one word.
It's like a
Methyl
full
propane.
thing. 2-methyl chloropropane.
Okay. Minnie, what have you learnt in psychology this week?
Good question. Oh, we're doing research methods right now. It
Okay,
sounds a bit
can you
boring.
give us one?
Okay, so we've been talking about different kinds of experiments. So true experiments is where the experimenter manipulates your independent variable itself. They're changing it and they're seeing the effect it has on your dependent variable, what they're measuring. So you have laboratory experiments where, as you can gather from the name,
It's
it
in a
takes
lab.
place in a lab, a highly controlled environment.
Yes.
So it's good that they can have full control over that because they can directly explain like cause and effect. between
Yeah,
the
it's a
independent and
clear
independent.
like thing to.
But
yeah.
the downside is like when you're in a lab, it's a foreign environment. It's unusual.
It's not going to be
artificial.
equivalent to a
comfortable,
psychological
yeah.
And the
like,
issue
process
is-
outside of a lab. Yeah.
Is when people are in those situations, they may not display their true behaviour,
Yeah.
and so that decreases
Informative
the
social
internal,
influence.
the internal validity
Yeah.
of your findings. Whereas in field experiments, yes, the independent variables you can change and whatnot, but it's taking place in a natural environment. So, for example, out and about in the streets, in school. Now, this is good as in those natural environments, people will behave more naturally. You'll have
Yeah.
higher
Like you're going to
internal
have their
validity.
true behavior. Yeah.
Exactly. The downside is in those environments
You
don't
can't
have as
prove
much
cause
control.
and effect. Yeah.
You don't have as much control over other variables which could be affecting your
Yeah.
dependent variable because it's like, okay,
You can't have a control as easily. Yeah.
exactly because it's like, okay, I'm changing this independent variable to measure this, but what if it's something else?
What if there's something you haven't factored? That's
Yeah.
so interesting.
It's
Because
fun.
like in science and chemistry you
Mm.
have a lot of like, oh, here's a control where
Yeah.
you've got something to prove that is what is changing. I've never thought about that applying to psychology as well.
Yeah, I think Oh, there's a whole debate over like whether psychology should be regarded as a science or not. I mean, a lot of
I
people
think it
argue
is.
it
It
is.
should be, yeah.
It involves
mean, it's not-
experiments and it's quite biology.
It's not so
based.
much a creative subject. Like,
No.
yes, sciences are creative subjects because you can generate, like, new ways of thinking.
Yeah.
But it's
like-
also not like English or history
Yeah.
or something like that. In a way.
It is essay based, but there is
I'd
that
say it's
science
kind
based
of-
in the
yeah.
founding.
In the way that English literature is analysing literature, psychology is analysing people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's fun. Maybe we can talk about whether psychology is a real science or not in another thing.
And another thing. Anything else
No.
we want to finish on?
I mean, that's about it.
I mean,
I'll
I've
be
not
here
I've not
forever
been
if I
doing
talk
anything
about
really
everything.
exciting in maths. So
Oh yeah,
we started
we always have like a
statistics.
little interlude where we talk about what we're doing in our subjects that aren't science. Well, mine.
Yours
we can
is
debate
like-
over that one another
Okay.
time.